Okay, so let's get right into it. We're talking about a massive, maybe one of the boldest shifts in global trade policy we've seen this century. It's a move by China that could completely reshape its relationship with an entire continent. We're going to break down what this deal is, why it's happening now, and what it really means for everyone else.
I mean, just pause and think about that question for a second. It sounds like a hypothetical, right? But it's not. This is really happening. One of the biggest economies in the world has basically thrown open its doors, completely tariff-free, to almost every single country in Africa. The scale of this is it's staggering.
And that scale really comes down to this one number, 53. That's how many African nations with diplomatic ties to Beijing are now part of this deal. The only country not included is Eswatini, and that's simply because it still maintains ties with Taiwan. But other than that, it's the whole continent.
And this is the headline, 100% tariff-free. We're talking about all product lines, no exceptions. It's such a simple, powerful promise, and it's sending huge ripples across the worlds of economics, trade, and geopolitics. So let's dig into the specifics of what's going on. So on May 1st of this year, a new policy officially kicked in. And believe me, this is a major turning point. This wasn't some minor tweak to existing trade rules. This was like someone threw out the old rulebook and wrote a completely new one for China-Africa relations. Right, so the key word here is expansion. China already had a zero-tariff deal for 33 of Africa's least developed countries, or LDCs. But this new policy just blows that wide open. It adds another 20 nations, and we're talking middle-income powerhouses like Nigeria, Egypt, South Africa, and it now covers every single product category. Everything.
You know, every big policy move has its official story, its public reason for being. So according to Beijing, why are they doing this? Well, they frame it all under this big idea they call South-South cooperation. It's basically the concept of developing nations in the global South working together to drive their own growth without needing to rely on the old Western powers.
And when you look at their stated goals, you can see the narrative they're building. They say this is about giving Africa's poorest countries a leg up. And, crucially, they say it's about rebalancing trade. China's trade surplus with Africa is enormous. We're talking nearly $98 billion. This policy is being sold as a direct way to help close that gap. It's all wrapped up in this grander vision of a fairer global economy. And this quote from one of their own officials really drives home how they see it. From their perspective, an offer like this has never been made before. It's a huge statement, and it's absolutely designed to be seen as a historic moment.
But, of course, there's another side to this story, a much more geopolitical one. None of this is happening in a vacuum. It's happening in a world where there's intense competition for influence, for resources, for markets, especially between China and the United States.
Now, this comparison right here is at the absolute heart of the geopolitical chess game. The main U.S. trade program for Africa, called AGO, is great, but it comes with strings attached, conditions tied to things like human rights and democracy. China's offer, it's deliberately different. It's market access with no political conditions. That is a direct and very powerful appeal to African leaders who are tired of what they see as Western lecturing. And analysts like Samir Bhattacharya see it for exactly what it is. This isn't just about selling more stuff. It's about building a whole new system. It's a strategic play to create an alternative to the US-led global order, with Beijing playing a much bigger role. So let's flip this around. What does this all mean for Africa? Well, the real prize here isn't just selling more oil or copper to China. The smartest folks looking at this see it as a potential springboard for something way bigger, real, honest-to-goodness industrialization. So here's the theory, and it's a pretty compelling one. This policy basically turns Africa into a back door to the massive Chinese market. Imagine a company in Europe, or India, or even America. They face high tariffs shipping to China. Well, now they could build a factory in, say, Ethiopia, make their products there, and then ship them to China with zero tariffs. For Ethiopia, that could mean a flood of foreign investment, new jobs, and crucial new skills. And we're not just talking about basic stuff. Think about adding value. Instead of a country like Côte d'Ivoire just exporting raw cocoa beans, maybe they can start processing them. And then a country next door, like Ghana, could manufacture the final chocolate bars to sell in China. This policy creates a huge incentive to build those more complex supply chains inside Africa. Okay, but as exciting as this all sounds, getting an invitation to the party is one thing, actually being able to go is another. For Africa, the path from this amazing opportunity to actual economic reality, well, it's filled with some pretty serious obstacles. This is the multi-billion-dollar question, isn't it? Having an open door is great, but do you have the ability to actually walk through it? Can the continent's economies really gear up and seize this moment?
And the reality check is, it's tough. A lot of countries just don't have the basic infrastructure, reliable electricity, efficient ports, to support a big manufacturing boom. Plus, decades of cheap Chinese imports have, ironically, weakened some of the very industries, like textiles, that could benefit. And maybe the biggest hurdle of all, it's going to take incredible coordination between African countries to make this work.
So let's zoom out one last time to the biggest picture we can see. This policy isn't just a random act of generosity. It's a single, very deliberate piece of a much larger, decades-long strategy to completely reshape the global economy. And that's the bottom line. This trade deal fits perfectly into a bigger vision. It's one more pillar in Beijing's grand plan to build a world that's less dependent on the West and more aligned with China's own way of doing things. And when you look at it on a timeline like this, the strategy just clicks into place. First, you have the Belt and Road Initiative to build the physical stuff, the ports, the roads. Then you launch development and security initiatives to shape the politics. And now, with this zero-tariff policy, you add the economic glue to hold it all together in a system that revolves around Beijing. And the endgame here is incredibly ambitious. It's about rewriting the rules of globalization. It's about chipping away at the dominance of the US dollar, and it's about building a solid network of nations that will back China on the world stage. But maybe the most powerful thing this policy does is change the story. It tries to shift Africa's role from a continent that just receives aid to a central strategic commercial partner. It's a move from a relationship built on charity to one built on economic partnership. And that leaves us with this final massive question. China just put a very powerful offer on the table, with a new set of rules for how it engages with an entire continent. The West, of course, has its own set of rules. As these global power dynamics keep shifting, the real question is, who is ultimately going to write the rulebook for the 21st century economy?
Thanks for watching till the end. It really means a lot. I hope this explanation helped you understand what's really happening behind the headlines. What do you think about this topic? Do you think this move will change global power dynamics? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I read them all. If you enjoyed the explanation, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Global Grid Explained for more world events explained simply. And tell me, what topic should we explore next? See you in the next one.